Let's look at the 2025 market forecast as per the industry experts. This is Robbie Thomas, your Bay Area Downsizer. If you like what you see, please hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified with the next market update and informational videos. So let's get into it. Now that we are around the corner for Thanksgiving and the holidays that are coming up, the market has cooled down quite a bit, and I get a lot of questions for 2025 and what the housing market holds. So I thought I'll put together a video with slides. So these are the 5 main questions I get asked frequently, and we'll go through each of them one by one with charts and details explaining what they mean and what it holds for us for 2025. The next chart is the first question. It's like, when will mortgage rates come down? So this is a statement from Ralph McLaughlin, and he's a senior economist at Realtor.com. So what he says, this statement was made before the elections, and now that the elections are passed, we have much more clarity. What he said was that the trajectory of rates over the coming months will be largely dependent on 3 key factors: the performance of the labor market, the outcome of the presidential election, and any possible re-emergence of inflationary pressure. While volatility has been the theme of mortgage rates over the past several months, we expect stability to re-emerge towards the end of November and into early December. So let's look at the jobs market. So where the jobs are for October, that's the latest we have. September to October, net change in number of jobs by industry. So healthcare and social assistance gained 51,300 jobs. Government jobs increased by 40,000. Wholesale trade 10,400. Construction 8,000. Information 3,000. Mining and logging 1,000. Financial activities 0. Utilities minus 1,700. Transportation plus warehousing minus 3,700. Leisure plus hospitality minus 4,000. Retail trade minus 6,400. Manufacturing minus 46,000. And professional plus business services minus 47,000. So now you see the net change in number of jobs by industry. Now let's look at the inflation. The target Federal Reserve target is about 2%, and inflation still is not quite at the Fed's target rate, because that's what they're looking for, hoping for at around 2%. While we are in October, we reached 2.7, so it's slightly on the higher side, and because of that, the prices are still much higher for the overall economy. The next slide shows mortgage rates which are projected, and this is a baseline aggregate of all these combined. This is the actual interest rate as it is, which is over here at close to 6.9% for the 30-year fixed. And although this chart was put together 11/5/2024, this week the interest rate actually went up even higher. So Fannie Mae's forecast is one of the lowest, this yellow line here. MBA's Mortgage Association's forecast, which is the green line, which is the highest. Wells Fargo's forecast is the blue dotted line, which is lower than Fannie Mae's forecast over here. And the National Association's forecast is slightly above that. And they're all in the 5.5 to 6 range, except for the MBA forecast, which is slightly over 6%. And that's the forecast for first quarter of 2024, which is over here. Second quarter of 2025, which is over here at around 6%, and then continues to go lower. Second quarter 2025, third quarter 2025, and fourth quarter 2025, which is over here. Let's look at the next chart. So the next question that I got was, what will it take for prices to come down? Let's look at that. So one of the reasons there was a big crash in 2007, 2008 was the continuous four consecutive years of record-setting number of new units built. And if you look at these green bars here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it shows in the thousands. That is, over here is about 1,600 plus, around 1,700,000 units were built in 2005, 6, and 7 consecutively. And what happened is there was an oversupply, and then 2008, you can see the super drop here because the houses were not moving, and then a further huge decline the consecutive years, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011 was the lowest, and then it slowly started building up for the last 15 years since that crash, if you notice here. But this is 2020, 21, 22, 23, and you see that the new home construction for single family units has still not caught up to the 2004, 2005 range. So that means although there are buildings coming in, there is no oversupply yet. Let's look at the next slide. Now let's look at the forecast of percentage of valuation appreciation. So between all the 10 taken here, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Fannie Mae, HPES, Morgan Stanley, Zelman and Associates, National Association of Realtors, Mortgage Association, Freddie Mac, and Moody's Analytics, the average of all 10 comes to about 2.5% of home prices will rise in 2025. Not very significant, but definitely higher than where we are at overall right now. Now the next question is, will I be able to find a home if I move? It is a very valid question because people who are locked into the lower 2.8, 3%, 30-year fixed mortgages are under severe pressure not to sell, because if they sell, they have to now get used to the new interest rates, which is at 6.9, 7, 7.1, depending on their credit and various other factors. So even if they were looking to buy in the near future, using these forecasts that I just discussed, we're still looking at a significantly higher number, closer to 5.56%. And their fear is that they might not be able to get another property. So let's look at that. So as I mentioned earlier, there are more homes coming on the market, but not as much as we had seen way back in 2008, which led to the financial collapse or the housing collapse at that time. Now let's look at the inventory since January 2017. This is month by month, and these bars show actual supply units constructed plus all the homes that came to the market. We are at about at the peak at about 1.35 units over here in July of 2017, and we're almost triple top over here, but still slowly declining. And then in January 2020, you see a sudden drop in supply of homes for sale. Then the pandemic years, and then it continues to go down. It almost hit like a double bottom over here, which is the lowest at 400,000 homes supply, and then a slow climb. We're still not at the peak, but it's still climbing steadily, and this is September and October. So that shows there are homes coming. So even if you sell your home as a home seller, the chances of you getting into another house is much greater than during the trough over here. Let's look at the next chart. So here's a statement from Ralph McLaughlin. So there were 29.2% more homes actively for sale on a typical day in October compared with the same time in 2023, marking the 12th consecutive month of annual inventory growth and the highest count since December 2019. That's what we just discussed. Now, will the housing market pick up next year? So this is every listing appointment I go to, every conversation I have with even buyers who are in the sidelines ready to buy, but we're waiting for the election cycle to get over so they have more clarity, and the projects which are being completed, especially in the tech sector in the Bay Area, now they have more clarity, they know what to look out for, and they're ready to get back into the market. So will the housing market pick up next year? Let's look at that. So more homes are expected to sell in 2025. But let's look at historic from 2019. There was 6 million homes sold in 2019, 6.5 in 2020. This is nationwide. And it reached a peak at 6.9 million homes sold in 2021. And then a decline below 6, which is at 5.7 in 2022. 4.8 million in 2023, and we are on par to reach 4.6 million homes closed, that is sold in the entire US by the end of December, which is historically the lowest in 14 years. And now, based on the analytics and the experts and the projections from the Census Bureau, Fannie Mae, MBA, NAHB, and the National Association of Realtors, what they're projecting is 5.2 million homes will be sold by the end of 2025, which is a much better number than 4.6 and 4.8, but not as great as 6.5 or even 6. So yes, there are great chances if you're actively looking to buy a home, you will get a house. Now, the next question, the last and the major question that I keep getting asked over and over again is the market going to crash in 2025? Let's look at why it will not crash unless there's a certain criteria that is met. So this shows the sources from the New York Fed. The orange shows the total mortgages, blue shows the HELOC, which are loans on the property based on the valuation of property. These are auto loans, which are in green, credit card, which is blue, and student loan, which is yellow. So if you look at this, historically 2024, the first quarter, it's the highest. The student loan is highest, credit card is highest, the HELOC is highest, auto loan is highest, and mortgage loans are the highest. But this is straight taking from 2003. Now, that is one side of the coin, but let's look at the other side of the coin, which is how much home equity was built to the house, to the entire housing market in the US overall versus how much liability. So that should show how much value the house has grown and how much equity the homeowner has. So this is in trillions. So if you look at this, where it started off in 2000, you're looking at the orange line, which is the home mortgage liability, which is your mortgage loans. Now the value of the house, this is 13.2 trillion. And if you look at the valuation of the equity, homeowners at the same time have 35.1 trillion in equity, and the real value of the property itself is 48.2 trillion. So yes, the loans, the liability has grown and it is at the highest, but so has the homeowner's equity and the real estate value of homes. So it's very easy to figure out that if the real estate market has to collapse or crash, well, then the blue and the red line must be below the orange line, where everything is inverse and the value of the property is below the liability of the homeowner, which is not happening, and it's like 3 times 4 times the size of liability is the real value of the properties all over the US. Now, this thing can change at any time because there are a couple of things that you have to consider. Number one is the job market. If the job market overall changes and there are more job losses than now and the last recent years, and comes close to double-digit numbers as in the 2008 financial crash, then you will see more and more homeowners losing value and desperately trying to sell their homes. At that point, there'll be a big rush to sell and bringing the home values drastically down, which I don't see happening. The second condition is if there was a international war or a natural calamity, these two things which nobody can predict will also tank the real estate market. But apart from that, based off of what we see here, the projection shows, according to the equity, the debt, and the home valuation, it doesn't look like there is a crash, although anything can happen. Let's now look at the historic equity means. This is what I just explained, that there will not be a crash. So the housing market equity and debt in trillions. So if the home mortgage debt is 9.7 trillion and the home owner equity is 8.2 trillion, this is what happened during the housing crisis, because the equity is at 8.2 trillion and the home mortgage debt was 9.7 trillion. But today, in comparison to what happened here during the 2008 crash, is the 13.2 trillion is the home mortgage debt, and the home equity is 35.1 trillion, and the total housing market value at 48.2 trillion. This is what I just explained. That is why there won't be a crash, according to the real estate experts. And this source is St. Louis Fed. So, three things you should expect next year are: the total forecast of the homes are going to rise from 4.6 currently to 5.2, and the mortgage rates to continue to slide from this point at 6.9, 7.1 interest rate range to lower numbers, probably in the 5.5 to 6 range, giving more cash purchase power to the buyers to buy a house. I hope this was useful. If you like it, again, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. If you click on the link below, there is a link for a home evaluation. It's a free, no obligation link where you fill out your address and I will send you a personalized, accurate home valuation. No obligation to use me whatsoever. If you'd like to reach me directly, 510-374-2264. Call me or text me anytime. Until next time, Robbie Thomas, your Bay Area Downsizer.